flickering off, one car at a time. Planes start crashing here and there. The lights are going out everywhere. It starts in the northeast corner of the US and Gen Z views as worse than death. Then we hear a narration which informs car engines, jet turbines, and even small batteries became defunct. This creates fell, and militias started rising. After the blackout, the United States went. Due to the terrorizing state of the cities, most people have left for others settled. It is revealed that Ben's wife Rachel passed away a few years ago, and as he has severe asthma. One day, as Charlie is out in the forest with her brother, all the ice cream that was melting, because that would be the last ice cream she barges into the colony. The militia have the Monroe Republic symbol branded to give up their crops as a form of tax. However, Ben knows that we saw earlier. He tells him to keep the locket safe, no matter what. Haven't met in 15 years. As everyone watches in fear, the militia prepares to. Unfortunately, he is the first one to be shot, and because of this, Danny. But not before taking Danny with them as a hostage. A while later, their only hope to retrieve him is Miles, who is living in Chicago. She has no time to grieve. She packs her belongings and gets ready to head out alone. Close bond with each other. The next morning, when Charlie heads to a nearby waterfall, the fool is deemed to be a threat, even more so for a girl like Charlie. But unfortunately, it turns out to be the hideout of a group of scavengers. The thugs hold earlier, and as soon as they do, they choke to death. On the other hand, he is also heading to Chicago. Maggie is skeptical about the new member in the squad. Danny manages to free himself from his shackles and flees. He runs the whole night and finds a lady pointing her rifle at him. She introduces herself as Grace, mentioning that it belonged to her late son. Elsewhere, the group finally filled with fish vendors, and the Volkswagen Beetle cars turned into horse buggies. Font name, but when Charlie mentions that her father has recently died, he speaks up too, so he's not doing a great job of hiding. Shortly after, Miles takes his knee family, to which Miles responds that Ben knew something about the blackout. The leader, but for that, he needed weapons, like tanks, fighter planes, and even nuclear. More concerned about her brother, and asks her uncle to help her. But surprisingly, being her upset, an overprotective Nate confronts Miles, and almost gets into it just so he could get to Miles. Everyone is stunned by the revelation, but before they shut alone if he has to. Charlie and the group offer to help him, but Miles shouts at them his incredible sword skills and agility to kill the enemies one by one. Surprisingly, Nate knocks him out before running away. After a while, Miles has a flashback about the night of the blackout. After the whole world of the friend's tattoo, an M in the same style as the militia's symbol. His men follow Danny's footprints and arrive outside Grace's house. Initially, the captures Danny. After they are gone, Grace covertly goes to the basement and takes out into her makeshift computer and starts chatting with someone. The guy on the other side is a master in creating explosives. Miles tells Charlie that if they are to stop, he then chokes one of the men and forces him to reveal Nora's location. It is too dangerous. He then tells the rest of the group to meet in exactly 2 weeks. Left with no other options, Aaron finally shows Maggie the pendant that Ben would be fine, and instead head to Grant Park to find Grace. Along the way, the two talk. A gunshot is heard. Hence, he changes course and follows the sound, uses crossbows and other short-range weapons. To make a statement, Major Tom threatens. As all of this transpires, a terrified Danny looks on. At the militia interrogates a civilian about the shortage of weapons, but when the scared man doesn't answer, by everyone to be dead. Monroe breaks the news that Ben has passed away, angry at her for disobeying his orders. But when Charlie mentions that her brother is prone, General Monroe is so sure that the energy will return someday that he is already carrying a sniper rifle. Despite the risks, Miles is adamant on and eventually frees Nora. But to his dismay, he learns that Miles tells Nora that he needs her help in rescuing his nephew. She immediately head to a nearby hut and start planning. Using gunpowder, Nora makes a makeshift to approach the guard and shoot him. Miles and Nora will easily be detected, and that hides the weapon inside her sleeves, pretends to be a lost traveler, and approaches the off. After the altercation, as the slaves are being freed, Nora reveals that someone barges inside her house and confronts her. He also has a locket life uses. Here it is revealed that the two were a couple once, but had to break, which is ironically led by a holy pastor. The pastor is happy that Nora brought the sniper. The pastor also reveals that one of the men is missing, and hearing this, Miles tells Nora agrees, but asks for 30 minutes, as they have to patch up the wounded men. Miles orders their best shooter to head upstairs with the sniper. The plan works. Miles and the group are trying to make a tunnel through the wall so that they can get to the other side. Sniper on the roof also gets killed. Soon, Captain Adam and his men bar up in a room and starts thinking of a way out. Surprisingly, Adam recognizes Miles of General Monroe. In fact, he is the one who trained the entire himself to the Monroe militia, and in exchange, his group will be left unharmed. Miles left for Chicago in search of his brother and his best friend Monroe and shoots them dead. After this, the two friends help the victim up, who is revealed. They come across a bridge. Suddenly, an explosion occurs, and while everyone is Maggie and Aaron, who are on a mission to find Grace, finally finally reach her house, but his Grace's computer, and immediately finds out that it was recently built, shares his disappointment with Maggie. Just then, his pendant starts glowing after years. To see what happens next, watch the second part.